Hey everyone, this is Christopher. This week we decided to do something just a little different. Instead of releasing a regularly scheduled main pod episode, we decided to release a bonus episode from the Lot1 Podcast After Show. These episodes are awesome. Essentially, they are a bonus episode to the main episode. The after show is about 20 to 45 minutes, depends on the guest, and they're a little bit more laid back. We get to know the people a little bit better. It's, hair down, get a glass of whiskey, and just hang out. And also, sometimes me and Deji have extra questions that we had in the main pod that we didn't have time to get to. So we focus on them in the after show. From all of us here at the Lot1 Podcast, thank you for your support. Enjoy this amazing bonus episode from the Lot1 Podcast After Show. Thank you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Lot1 Podcast After Show. My name is Deji Bancole.
And I am Christopher Henley.
On this episode, we continue our conversation with Jillian Corsie. We talk about filmmaking, work-life balance, crowdfunding tips, and how in the actual fuck you make a documentary on accident. Welcome to the Lot1 After Show.
Let's get into it.
Hello, and welcome to the After Show. Today,
Yay.
We are continuing our conversation. So if you listen, just letting you know, guys know right now, if you haven't listened to the episode with Jillian Corsie, not the After Show episode, that one you're listening to currently, but the main podcast episode, you need to go over there right now because
squirrels and costumes.
Squirrels, costumes. How do you get your movie into a film festival? These are all great topics. I love them. And now we're going to talk more. Hey, welcome to the After Show with Deji and Chris and Jillian.
Yay.
I feel like you didn't get a glass of water. I feel like it was a glass of vodka or something.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the After Show after all. So,
it is.
This is water just mixed with a little bit of cocaine. That's why. What's the opaqueness?
It's dark outside.
This is true. This is dark.
I think you can do cocaine as long as it's dark outside.
Yeah.
Interesting fact. All right.
Thank you for being on the After Show with us. So if you're gonna have all the success tomorrow, would you pick a lane and go all in on one thing?
I've been asked this a lot and I've thought about it a lot. And here's how I feel. I never anticipate making money from my films. If it happens, that would be awesome. But if I was handed $2 billion after, trying to cure homelessness and stop student debt, I would probably just use my leftover money to keep making films because it's just part of who I am. I'll just do it. But the thing that's really important to me is I don't want to work with assholes. I've done it. I've worked in advertising for a long time. There tends to be assholes there. And I really want to have work-life balance. So for me, if I am making a good enough living and I'm working with people I like and I have a life, that's what success is. And that's what I have right now. And I'm really happy with that. So if I was like some famous filmmaker or something, would I only direct or only edit or only program? I don't think so, because all of those things go hand in hand and I'm really happy with it.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of times, I personally have a bit of a problem like doing one thing, and I personally consider that like an issue. Like I have a hard time just like focusing and like, I'm just going to be doing this, and I think that, developing that skill in that is by doing only one thing is like not something that I've really spent a lot of time on. So I feel like I would probably do the opposite of you. Like I would actually probably only do one thing, but I think it's good to sort of like understand that about yourself. And so for anybody listening, like understanding that about yourself, like what are the things that are going to make you happy? And I think the work-life balance is one of the things that is not really talked about that often, because it's, at least for me when I was younger, it was like film or die. Like there's nothing else. Don't talk to me about anything else. and then, you know, burnout is real, and you've sort of like lose yourself a little bit when you're focusing on just that. So yeah, I think that's definitely great.
I also think the industry is changing a lot. 10 years ago, I mean, still, if a resume comes in front of you and it says writer, producer, director, editor, actor, composer, whatever, you're going to glaze over a little bit because you can't do all of those things. And there was a time where I felt like, okay, I need a website for doc, I need a website for commercials, I need a website for directing, I need a website for film programming. I also am really good at crowdfunding, and I do crowdfunding consulting on the side. But you can't. The more people I talk to now, the more people are like, actually, all of those things together are an asset, and it's okay to blend them. So I'm just, I'm just sort of like, I'm happy with where I'm going. The work-life balance thing is hilarious that I say that, because I do all this festival stuff is on top of work, but I like it, and I'm working with people that I like. And so it feels like I'm just hanging out with my friends and talking about movies, with a pinch of stress. But yeah, I'm just sort of like rolling with it.
It sounds like you got where it makes you happy, and that's the important thing. And I feel like I strive as a filmmaker. I'm just trying to get to that point to where that can be a reality for me, and of just like, it's exactly what you're describing. It's like, yeah, I'll take on like programming for a film festival because I love film, even if it adds on top of everything else I'm doing, because everything else I'm doing is exactly what I want to be doing. So that's really cool. I do have 3 questions though, and they all came to me at separate times because you keep saying things. I'm like, ooh, that's a good one. First question: does the VHS tape of you filming Beauty and the Beast still exist that we can watch, that you own, that someone has? Is it dirt that your family has on you? That's the most important question from the main pod for those who didn't listen to that, which you should. Does that exist still?
That was actually a play.
Ah.
And I am the keeper of the family tapes, and I do have digitized most of the stuff, not all, but most of the stuff I was making in like middle school and high school. Yes.
Deji has tapes
online.
Yeah. I was like, Deji has tapes, and I'm waiting to see them. I want to see them. And there's like, I even have things from my past where I'm like, please never see the light of day. I want them to stay as like memories. But I had to ask.
I would actually, I'll leak my own stuff. Like, I don't.
Yeah, Deji's so proud of it.
I chop my stuff up a lot, and I make like things. Like I made like an homage to my childhood home, and I looked through all my footage and found like every angle that I ever shot and made notes of it. And I went back and shot that same angle so I could have it like in 1991 or 1994, and then back in 2020, and that sort of thing. So I use a lot of, I mean, every picture, everything I've ever done, I have a whole closet of hard drives of stuff.
How does one accidentally make a feature documentary?
Oh yeah,
I need to know that story.
I'm so glad you asked. It's very easy. First, pick a subject that is really important to you. So I had actually, I can talk about this now. My little sister had trichotillomania growing up, which is a disorder where people pull out their hair, and it always stuck with me. She pulled out her eyebrows and eyelashes. And I never understood it. And when I was in New York and I wanted to make something to show my boss that I could edit, I went out and started interviewing people on the street and asking, have you heard of this? Have you heard of this? And then I did a Kickstarter before Kickstarter was Kickstarter. This is like in 2012. And I got donations from 20 different countries. So suddenly it became very clear that I was tapping into something much bigger than I realized. And I spent the next year and a half, I grabbed some girlfriends and we shot some characters, subjects, people based in New York. And then I became so engrossed with the making of that film that I ended up quitting my job, moving back in with my parents and editing that. We shot 500 hours of footage over a year and a half, and it took me a year to edit it. And then making Trickster, which still is on Amazon and iTunes today. I put the whole thing on TikTok and saw an uptick in views on iTunes and Amazon. It's still the film that you go to if you are a parent that has a child that has 1 in 20 people have some sort of body focused repetitive behavior. Hair pulling, nail biting, skin picking, super common. We just don't know what it is. So if you're looking for information about that, Trickster, my film, is often where you find it. For now, some young filmmaker who knows how to white balance will come along and make a better version. But I'm really proud of that baby. I mean, it took me 5 years, and it was all nights and weekends. We did 3 crowdfunding campaigns for it. We made the whole thing for 30 grand. Probably got 500,000 of donated work because I came from post. So I got my color, my graphics, my score, my conform, everything for free. Donated from friends I had made. Post production, it's where to be.
That's a part of filmmaking that people often overlook.
Or you get stuck. As a filmmaker myself, I feel like so many projects get stuck in post because it can get real muddled very quickly.
Yeah.
Something you said there that I would want to hit on before I get to my last question, Deji, is...
Come on, how many damn questions do you have?
No, you mentioned you put the whole thing on TikTok, and then you saw an uptick in sales on the platforms.
Oh, here comes the kitty.
Oh, cute little kitty.
Once I kind of started seeing the power that TikTok could have, I went and looked up Trichotillomania just to see what was being posted. And here's all, the onset's usually in like between years. So I posted some clips. I went through and found clips and posted some clips in the trailer. They did really well. One of my clips got 1.2 million views. Wow. And I was like, I'll just cut up the whole film and put it on here. Why not? Have it.
Yeah.
I mean, and I did. And not everybody watched the whole film that way, I'm sure. Maybe some people did. That would be crazy. There was like 73 videos or something. But I figured it's a resource. It's a little dated. Like some of the medical information in it is a little dated at this point, but it is a resource for people that are looking for help.
I just found it fascinating that someone could have watched it completely for free on TikTok, but then they saw a piece of it on TikTok, and then they just said, hey, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to pay and watch it, which is super cool. Really intriguing.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of time too, because it's often young people that have this, and older people tend to think, oh, just stop. Just don't do that. But it's like a legitimate OCD disorder. It's a really good resource for parents or for people that want to support loved ones who have this, for them to understand, because they can't just stop, and saying that is helpful. So I can see a young person finding this on TikTok and being like, I need to show this to my parents. I'm not saying that's how it happened, but back in the day when we were fundraising, Tumblr was a big source for us, because these kids were seeing Trickster on Tumblr, our campaign or our videos, whatever, and then they would go tell their parents, and their parents would make donations to our Kickstarter or our Seed and Spark later. And that's how we got a lot of our donations, was from Tumblr.
So the final question.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Well, you brought it up at the end. That's why I'm glad I asked that second question first, is I wanted to bring up crowdfunding. I've crowdfunded one project before, and we raised like $1,200. It was for my senior thesis at UCR to help. I just paid for everyone's food, essentially, and some props. Which was, couldn't have done it without it. And it came out to a pretty good project for a bunch of kids who did it for free. Lot1 is in the process and about to launch a crowdfunding campaign for a second season of a show we already released the first season on YouTube. That it's already an existing IP that we are adding to and adapting to. And the first season did really well. So if you're willing to, I know you're saying you did consulting and stuff, but I'm curious of do you have tips or tricks? What is the best way for crowdfunding? Do you recommend one platform over another platform? And I know that's a lot of nuance, but I'm just curious to get your opinion on it.
Yeah, well, I always recommend Seed and Spark over every other platform. They have the highest success rate in the industry. They're also super about diversity, not just diversity in filmmakers, but diversity in films and in filmmaking. I love that. They have a 4-day work week. Trickster, my accidental feature, was a founding film of Seed and Spark, so I'm partially biased. When they launched the company in 2012, Trickster was one of the first films on their platform, one of the first 12. And Emily, who is the founder and CEO of Seed and Spark, is a good friend of mine. So I always love Seed and Spark, and I will forever only crowdfund on Seed and Spark. I also love that they have free how-to crowdfund videos available on their website. You can go and watch it, and they give you tricks. And they also will not let you go live until their staff reviews your campaign, your video, everything. And then they tell you, hey, you need to add this, this, and this, or we recommend you do this and this. They basically want to set you up for success. Kickstarter, you just hit go whenever you're ready. My crowdfunding tips, yes. You should know that you need to, if you hit 20% in the first week, it is more than likely that you will be successful. So you need to know starting out, where is this 20% coming from? And you need to be very obnoxious about it. Hey, mom, or person that liked, watched our first season, or whoever, like, will you guarantee me you'll give me $100 or 300 or 50 or whatever it is? Add that up. Okay, there's my 20%. I know it's coming. And then my favorite thing, and nobody does it, but if you do it, you will be successful, is you need to draft hundreds of cold emails, personalized cold emails. You can find their email. I am very good at this. You can find anybody's email. You can find their email, write something personal. It cannot be just a copy paste thing, because I'm not going to look at that. Write a personal email and prep all of those emails. It might take you a couple weeks leading up, but if you write those emails, I just ran a campaign for my friend, and we finished, I think, at 125% funded. Personal emails. Nobody does it because it's uncomfortable. It's desperate. It's unbecoming. It's annoying. You're begging people to give you their money, but you're actually asking them to join your team. So how can you flip it and make it exciting, and they should want to be a part of it? But personalized emails, I can't tell you how many crowdfunding consulting meetings I've taken where I say, you got to write the personal emails, and you got to make sure that I'm on that list. And they don't write me, and I see their campaign go live, and then it fails, and I never got an email. I would have been a guaranteed $25 because I know how hard it is. And it's a full-time job, and it's the worst, and I never want to do it again.
The Lot1 Podcast is brought to you by the Tourist Hat Coffee Company. You know what keeps me running on those long film sets, Stagey?
What's that, Chris?
Coffee. And you know what's the worst thing ever?
A swift kick in the pants.
No, bad coffee. So that's why I choose Tourist Hat Coffee Company's high-quality coffee beans. Their artisan-roasted, single-origin coffee and handcrafted blends are so much better than those stale stuff you get from those other brands.
Yeah, those things are bad.
Tourist Hat Coffee Company's coffee is artisan roasted, micro roasted, single origin, and their small batch roaster that handcrafts their blends to maximize peak freshness upon delivery. Family owned and operated. What more could you ask for from a coffee company, Deji?
I literally can't think of anything else.
If you're still not sold, a portion of each purchase goes towards contributing to some of their favorite nonprofit organizations, such as Animation Dance Community, Seeds of Hope International, and Beautiful Gate Orphanage.
These guys are good.
Make Tourist Hat Coffee Company your new go-to quality coffee choice with our exclusive offer for you, the Lot1 Podcast listener.
Oh, listen up, guys.
First-time customers can use the code LOT1BOGO at checkout to receive one free bag of coffee when you buy two. That's right, Deji, buy two, get one free.
Whoa.
So head on over to touristhatcoffeecompany.com and use promo code LOT1BOGO at checkout. Again, that is LOT1 BOGO at checkout. Whether you work in the film industry or not and want a delicious cup of coffee, this is the perfect time to stock up on your favorite blends of coffee or try something new. I know I'll be brewing Tourist Hat on my sets moving forward, Deji. Again, that's promo code LOT1 BOGO, LOT1 BOGO at checkout to claim your buy two, get one free. Terms and conditions apply. Tourist Hat, coffee that fuels your adventure.
You're sending the cold emails to the people who are you sending them to exactly?
So when I did Trickster, I researched every single therapist in the United States who treats trichotillomania. I went through catalogs of therapists who specifically treat BFRBs, and I cold emailed there were a lot, every single therapist. Obviously I worked with TLC, which was the company that, it was like the nonprofit that raised money and held events, and there's like support groups. So it's very niche about whatever project you're making. In your case, you have a season 1. Every single person that commented, every single person that ever shared, everyone that likes it, everyone that that watched it, any listserv that you're already building, don't send it out on the listserv. Who's on the listserv? What does George Michael do on the weekends that you also like to do? Hey, George, I saw that you were at this concert. Here's my story about that concert, which relates to this thing I'm trying to do. I know you liked our first season. There's an in. You can find an in with anybody, even if you don't know the person. But if you don't take the time, it's partially about guilt. If I see that you took the time to write me a personal email, I feel even more pressure to donate, even if it's just $10. But if you copy and paste something for me, I'm not going to donate to that, because it's just a nothing email. You're not even paying attention to me, so you won't even know.
Is there any recommendations you can make for the size of the goal? Like, are you saying like, don't ask for $100,000 because $100,000 just won't happen? Or is it like, is there some nuance there? What are your feelings on your goal amount?
I think that hugely depends on your project, your network, the scope. I have a friend that just raised $250,000, but he knew he had $100,000 before he went in. So he's like, so I only have to raise 150. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's easy. I was talking to him on the phone about how we could use TikTok to help. But he did it, I don't know how. I think he had a lot of health insurance companies behind him. He was making a film about schizophrenia.
I see, yeah.
Or not schizophrenia, seizures.
Got it, yeah.
So it just depends. If you've got, I find if you have like an issue-based project, you're going to get a lot. To me, it feels easier to get donations than if I was to be raising money for an action project or something. I've never raised money for an action project. I have raised money for issue-based or anything you can tug at the heartstrings. I think it's easier, personally, having never raised it for anything else, really.
Yeah. I mean, I really like that sort of like personal touch approach, and it seems like it would work. I guess I'm just, I would be curious to, think of ideas for how to do it for like a narrative, like kind of like the narrative action. And I think that like having like going in, say, this is just me thinking about it right now, but like whatever some of those like key points in the movie would be, like, could be some of the things that you're targeting. Like I'm right now, I don't think I've really said this on the podcast at all, but I'm writing a short right now that is like Yoruba is like Nigerian. It's like one of the tribes in Nigeria. My dad's Yoruba, so I'm half. My mom's from Sacramento. She's white, and my dad's from Nigeria. Anyways, so like a Yoruba culture sort of meets like Star Wars, but it's like very dark, like a dark tone. And so like with that being said, like, the Yoruba culture is going to be like pretty prevalent in there. And so I think that like with that sort of narrative, like tapping into those people, like that may be a way to like start to crowdfund, is like, Star Wars for us, type of thing. So
I just, so one of my friends that produced Trickster is Nigerian Sierra Leonean. And I ran her campaign for her first narrative film, which was a short that takes place entirely in Sierra Leone. So we played that angle of like, okay, what are Sierra Leonean groups who, apparently very, very small and everybody knows each other, she was telling me. So I was like researching, where are these groups? Who are these people? What are they interested? I looked at, because I'm a programmer, I get to see where filmmakers are coming from, and I have a lot of filmmakers' contact information. So I went in my archives and I looked at, wait, didn't we have a Sierra Leonean film that went to Sundance last year that submitted to us? Let me go and pull her contact, because she needs to know about your film. There's There's a feature documentary that's Sundance supported that's being made about Yoruba right now. So there's like stuff. I definitely think you have some angles there that you could play. And especially when you have marginalized communities that you don't get to see in those roles, and you're basically on the frontier of something that's never been done before. There's threads there that you can play at, and you can, I mean, this sounds shitty, but it's true. You can spin whatever angle you need to spin depending on the person that you're cold emailing, which is why personalized emails are so important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about, because I feel like this is a question all the time, the like rewards for people donating. You donate $25, you get X thing. What's advice you have for that? Are physical things important or digital? Like, do you feel like people even pay attention really to that?
Unless you have something incredibly valuable to offer, I don't think people necessarily pay attention. I do think it's very important that you not offer physical awards. I think offering a digital award that's clever, that can also be used as a marketing tool, is the best way to go. Like, depending on what your project is, donate this amount of money and we'll Photoshop you into some natural disaster and find a picture of a natural disaster and Photoshop the person in, and then that person's going to post that, and then someone else is going to be like, well, I want to be in a natural disaster or something. There's ways to do it where they're smart. You can already build out all your templates before the thing launches, and then you've got shareable content that are getting more eyes on your project. So any way you can turn it back into marketing, I think is better. As someone that has given physical rewards, it takes months and daily trips and packaging to ship out t-shirts and DVDs and posters. I have done it. I actually had mine at one point. We were getting like 5 a day because we were also selling them online. And so my mom I was like handwriting thank you notes, and my mom was running them all to the post office for me. It was a lot.
Yeah.
Is there a amount of rewards? Like, are you saying like leave it to 5, that's it, hands free? Do one big one, do one small one, or it doesn't matter. Just offer them all.
Whatever you can come up with. I always think that if you're going to shoot something, offer someone to be on set. Or, for example, I put myself down, I think, as like a $250 reward for festival consulting for my friend's campaign that we just wrapped. So if you have a friend that has a service, will you donate an hour of your time? Because, an hour of my time, if it's $250 that goes to her film, it's an hour of my time. Like, that's worth that. So, and now this filmmaker is going to, I'll get to watch their film and give them feedback and give them like a personalized list of festivals I'd send it to and all that. So leverage who you know that can bring value to your project. Sometimes it's easier to ask for volunteer time than it is to ask for money.
Yeah.
It might be easier for me to give you an hour than $250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's actually really good. I like that a lot. So thank you so much for being on the show today, the after show. Where can people find you? Like your address. I'm just kidding.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just...
Monica.
No.
I'll share my location to Blake Lively it. That's a joke probably people won't get, but I'm on Instagram at Corsie and on TikTok at Salute Your Shorts.
Nice. Okay.
Awesome.
I don't do Threads. I don't do X.
No Threads, no X.
I don't do Snapchat.
To be honest, all those, except for Snapchat, those two are like more like writing than I mean,
I used to do it when it was Twitter, but then when Elon took
I
over,
see.
We're
Yeah.
It kind of devolved.
I do have Snapchat because I like their filters sometimes, but it's more just.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yes, thank you.
Hopefully we can do this again sometime soon.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And that's a wrap for the Lot1 Podcast After Show.
Huge thanks to Jillian Corsie for going deeper with us.
Connect with us on Instagram, TikTok at the Lot1 Podcast. That is the LOT1 podcast for exclusive behind the scenes content. And hey, we are always open to questions or listener mail. Check out Lot1 Productions at lot1productions.com to see all the cool projects we've been up to, and check us out.
Until next time, Patreon family, stay creative, dream big, and remember, sometimes all you gotta do is trust the process. See you on the next after show.